everybody, and welcome to another edition of Joe's Rod Shop podcast. Yeah, another week is almost towards end again. This is hectic. I think, is it just me, or is time just going so much faster these days? All right, so before we get started, just a reminder, just go press like, subscribe, send a comment, send us some feedback. We'd love to hear from you guys. So before I start on today's guests, I've set up a whole bunch of new interviews. So here's the thing. The guests we've got coming up, and we've got some really cool ones going up. We are talking to the guy whose production company actually makes the best TV shows. All the overallings and all these type of things that you love seeing. We're actually talking to the CEO of that company. I'm also talking to one of the biggest legends in American drag racing. If you guys know drag racing and you've watched events or you followed events like Drag Week in the US with Hot Rod Magazine, you'll obviously know who Tim Bailey is. I've also got some really high profile South African guys coming on who you would not believe are big petrol heads. So guys, stay tuned because the next bunch of shows are going to be insane. Now, on to today's show, we are talking to Juliet McGuire. Now, if you do not know who she is, you're not a petrol person in South Africa, okay? She is an absolute legend. She's worked with Car Magazine, and she's a presenter, and she's talk show host on a radio show. She's done everything when it comes to cars in South Africa. She is brilliant. She is funny. She has got probably one of the best YouTube channels in South Africa where she actually does great reviews on cars. So I'll put all the links on at the bottom. You got to go check it out. She's extremely great with what she does, and she was brilliant to have on the show. Without any further ado, Juliet McGuire. All right, so we are live with Juliet. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm sort of getting over the whole pandemic. So tired of that word.
Yeah. It's those horrible words. It's like the pandemic and the new norm, you know? Yeah.
And social distancing.
I know. So, but we're moving on, you know, 2021's coming, and I don't think anyone can wait. It's going to be the biggest new year ever. Everyone's going to be at home because no one can afford to go anywhere, but it's going to be the biggest.
And everyone might be a bit terrified to even say, Happy New Year or celebrate because you just don't know what's going to be thrown at you.
I think what's going to happen, it's like a few years back, I had the worst year. And I actually, on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, I went to bed early to make sure it ends. Okay, I just wanted to go to bed and then wake up and it's a new year and things can start again. So everyone's going to be in bed by 9. Okay.
2020 hits.
Yeah.
Screws us all.
So, yeah. But listen, let's get going. You've had a very interesting career as a South African lady journo. Editor, radio talk show host, TV presenter, MC, and now YouTuber as well. I mean, how did all this background, how did all this come from your side? And the love for cars. I mean, obviously you must love cars in order to do all this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think my ex-boyfriend from my high school boyfriend has gotten so much airtime because of my career, because he's the one who sort of got me into cars when I was quite young. And I was interested in them. I just didn't realize that there could ever be a career in them. They just sort of always like a passion or a hobby. And then I studied journalism, and I knew that I was going to have to do an internship. And okay, there's a bit of nepotism, but whatever, I'll claim it and take it. But my cousin at the time was a publisher of Car Magazine, and I phoned him and I said, this looks like something I could do. There's so few women in this. And I did my thesis with my honors degree on female motoring journalists in South Africa because they were a handful, and they still are, unfortunately. But anyway, and so I went to Car Magazine and I interned there for a month and then flat out refused to leave. And so they eventually had to create a position for me, which was running the TV side of things. And then, I just stayed in the game, and I was there for 7 years and loved it and learned everything I could from sort of not only a technical point of view, but sort of video and social media, because when I was there, Facebook had just started. That's how long ago that was. So we were Facebook still when you were sort of like, we had to add you as a friend. So like Car Magazine was a friend and you could add and whatever. And then having to learn that actually we now need to be a page. And so I learned a lot at Car. But was quite happy to then leave a boys club and go edit a female magazine for women about cars. And so it just grew, and I always wanted to be a presenter. So I knew that was going to be something I had to do, and now podcaster, and basically just center of attention really is probably what it is.
So look at me. But you
look what I'm doing.
Exactly.
Thank you.
What's that old one? Okay, well, let me just go drive the new Bentley, quickly, just this morning, and then we'll see what the afternoon's going to take,
Exactly. So I do tell people, I mean, it is the best job in the world, and I love it, but it's still a job at the end of the day, you know what I mean? So I love it, but it still requires a lot of hard work. It's a very fickle, very tricky industry. So I'm very grateful that I'm still in it.
And people don't understand from TV presenting. I mean, I've done my fair share of stuff. It's draining. I mean, especially the stuff that the way you're doing it. Okay, because I mean, I'm busy shooting season 4 of my TV show at the moment, and I had some guys on that we were brought into it, and you have to explain to them that it's not all scripted. So you're not just reading off of something. So you've got all these numbers in your head of the motor, the size, what's going on. And you have to think of a way to start the conversation that doesn't look too fake. Keep it going, run through the numbers, get that right, and then think of how you're going to end into the whole conversation.
Yeah.
It's tiring. It's extremely tiring.
Yeah.
I found... I mean, that and the fact that it's normally a hurry up and wait. So I mean, especially when you're doing big TV stuff, you're sitting there the whole day, and then all of a sudden it's you, and you've got like 20 minutes to do everything, and then you're done, and you're completely spent after that,
Because you've also got to get up, have energy, look good, feel good, sound good, whilst retaining all the information. So you can't look like you're thinking what you're saying. You've got to just know it. I find that, and I find it so interesting because that you say that, because so often one of the big questions I always get asked, no offense, but especially by men, is always like, they can't test me. And they'll be like, don't you know what the kilowatts of whatever Porsche 911? And I'll be like, no. Why would I retain that information? Do you know how much I have to keep in my head for presenting and for doing stuff? I can Google that shit when I need it. I don't need to always keep it with me for punks like you to try to test me, But when I get onto a shoot and I have to remember, I'm always like, can I swear? I'm like, don't fuck this up.
Yeah, of course you can. Exactly. But I mean, and it's true. People, the amount of times you then sit in a conversation and people think that somehow immediately you know everything about cars. And not just one car, every car that's ever been developed, okay, even ones that no one's ever heard of, but the spec behind them and all this type of stuff. I mean, my knowledge goes from like 1930 to 1974, and then it kind of starts hanging from there. I mean, muscle cars, American cars, I know them, but I can't. Obviously, you can't know everything. There's too much information.
No, I don't know anything from 2020 in September before. Nothing. I know nothing about anything before that. I know everything about right now.
Yeah, exactly. My brain can only hold so much. And then there's like rude jokes and all this type of space for all these other things that needs to go into it as well. And then some things have to go.
Exactly. I mean, I did, even today, or not last week, I did 4 videos. Hardy dolls going past. I did 4 videos in a day. So 4 different cars and a podcast that afternoon. And so by the time I got home that night, I was like, if I never have to see another car again, I'll be so happy, because it's just so much to retain.
Exactly. It becomes very overwhelming, but you come across very natural. That's the nice thing. I love your videos. I think I find them extremely entertaining.
I'm so glad.
And you come across very natural when it comes to it. That's talk about the car industry. or car magazine. I mean, I've met a lot of the guys over the year, and it's weird because once you start getting to know the journalists and stuff behind it, and then you see something or read somewhere where they're giving a comment on a Porsche. Like, dude, you drive a fucking Corolla, okay? No, seriously.
That's what every journalist. None of us can afford cars. Every motoring journalist can afford his own car, just about. We poor, we journalists, man.
What do you know? Seriously, I've met you. I've seen you drunk, okay? so
oh, God, so many people can say that about me, that's for sure.
Yeah. So what's it? Product launches and all that type of stuff. This has been horrible, absolutely horrible. I think my worst one was Datsun. When they launched the Datsun Go, God, I had such a hangover the next day, because, like you said, a lot of journalists. That's the first time you've seen each other in ages, especially if it's journalists from all over the country coming together, and then it's just a complete piss up, you know.
Yeah, I'm quite glad that when I first started in the industry, so like 13, 14 years ago, it used to be a thing that everyone just got totally shit-faced, and we're going to be at 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. And I remember thinking, like, I'm never going to survive this. And I studied at Stellenbosch, so I learned how to drink. I know my way around a bottle of wine. And so I was like, I just don't think I can cope with this. And then there was a shift in the industry, and now all of a sudden you have these youngsters come in who went like, no,
so
we're not going to drink.
It's horrible.
Yeah. I was like, that's boring. So now at like 10 o'clock, everyone's gone to bed. I'm still there just necking the last bit of the wine. It's free. So I'm like, and then you just always have to get one person on your launch that you know will drink with you, like a drinking buddy. And then you know you're going to have a hangover the next day.
Exactly. But like I said, everyone starts getting so... You understand the seriousness from it, but we start sounding like those, old army guys, like, back in the day, you know, we went to this one, you know? And everyone like, so, oh no, we got to go to bed at 10. Bloody vegans. So yeah.
Exactly. I'm like, no, we can't be friends. Nope, we can't.
Exactly. In the morning they do the roll call, and you're like, I need coffee, as much coffee as humanly possible. Just put it straight in. Okay, we're gonna be fine.
Yeah, it's a fun industry.
Yeah, but no, I mean, everything has changed. How have you adapted with like everything? Because I mean, you were part of it was Wheels and Heels, am I right? I always get the Wheels and Heels side everything mixed up. So you're gonna have I'm dyslexic.
No, I was many years ago with Women on Wheels. That was
Women on Wheels. That was the one. Yeah.
Yeah. But I left there about 4 years ago. It's about 3 or 4 years now where I decided to go out on my own. I'm not a big fan, and I'm probably going to get shut down by some certain people, but I wanted to keep rebranding. I'm not a big fan. I get the woman angle is a big thing, but for me, it's also as much as we harp on it, it's just going to keep being women and whatever being less than. So I decided to go out there and do my thing, whereas I give car advice and review cars for anybody. They can be a petrol head or they can be somebody who knows having, and my big thing is more buying advice, because I find that to be more valuable than anything else.
But that makes more sense currently in the market. To me, that's a difference between from a normal journalist and to what you're doing is a journalist gives his opinion of something where what you going, it's not just from an opinion perspective of buying this car. Like I like the fact that you're saying what you think the cars are missing. And from a perspective of where it's coming from on, okay, does it really work? What doesn't work with it? It's more natural, if you want to put it that way.
Do you know what I'm in a very fortunate position. I think that I don't rely on manufacturing or manufacturer advertising. I make my money another way, so I can be quite honest. And I understand, because I was in magazine for so long and I was editor, so I understand where you've got to be quite careful, because, and it's a tricky balance and a tricky sort of line that you're on, where you've got to say what's truthful and objective, but you've got to bear in mind that if you really piss a manufacturer off, you could lose all your advertising. And it's so frustrating, and I hate that. So I try to kind of break away from that. And thankfully, the time that I have done that in the latter years of my career, they don't really make very shit cars anymore. Most cars are actually pretty decent, and there'll be the odd thing that's wrong with them. But I have gotten myself in trouble. Mahindra kicked me off their launch list and everything. They fucking hate me.
You got to tell the story. What did you do? What did you do to piss off Mahindra?
Okay, so it was 2 videos, so fair enough, 2 different Mahindra products that I fucking hated. And the first one was the KV100, and I had it for the week, and I would drive along, and at every robot, the stop-start wouldn't kick back in, and I have to turn the car off and turn it back on again, and there were issues and there were rattles, and it was just one of the worst fucking cars I've driven in years. And my thing is, my gauge is, would I sell this or suggest it or recommend it to my friends, family, and loved ones? And if the answer is no, then I'm not going to recommend it to anybody. So I said as much, and I just said it's the worst car I've driven like in a long time, and the CEO of Mahindra in India caught wind of it, and then contacted the one in South Africa and was like, she needs to go. And so I refused to delete the video, because also it had so many views, because I think everyone in India was watching it.
She's giving us bad publicity. Get rid of that. That is not the approach that you need to do. You know, that's okay.
It would have been interesting if it was a man who had done the review as well. I think there is a bit of a male-female, discrepancy there, obviously, with, cultural vibes and everything. But thankfully, we've kind of gotten back on track a little bit. I got, I think it was the HCV 300, which was much better product, thankfully. But I stand by my review. If you can watch it and you can deny any of the facts that I've laid forward, then fine. I will retract all of that. But none of it was incorrect. So exactly. I just had to stand my ground. And I phoned colleagues of mine who had magazines, like Terence Stenkamp, who's one of my best friends, who happened to be the editor of Car at the time. I phoned him and I was like, what do I do? Shit. And he was like, oh, no, you stand your ground. This is what you do. Keep going. So I did. Exactly. So thankfully I'm still here.
Exactly. Well, I mean, look, the problem is you can't, if you fuck up, or if a product was fuck up, even if it was just the one that you had that had issue, then you reply with we'll give you another one, or try it again, or because I mean there's still the old what's a Friday Monday car and this type of stuff, and you get new cars that it still has glitches and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean I drove a Ranger a while back, and this thing's just went haywire every now and then. You know, you stop at the robot. Oh no, the scariest thing was like in Ford's defense, it had one of those upgrades, those fuel system upgrade systems in it, and I reversed the car out, and as I went forward, all of a sudden it switched off all the drive-by-wire. So there's no power, nothing. You're just sitting there pressing everything in this focal. No power, nothing. And I switched the car off. And that didn't happen to me because I was in Joburg with the car. I was sitting in Witkoop, and the car did the same thing in traffic. So all of a sudden, you're in this brand new Ranger, and this thing doesn't want to fucking do anything. But when I gave him the car, I said, listen, this is what they need to find. And it was just a resetting that they had to do on it. But it happens. Yeah. It happened. You know?
Of course. And I'm all for it. Like, I often have things, and I'll say to my review, like this car, often the Bluetooth sucks or something, or it's not connecting properly. And often I'll say, this might just be the test unit I've got or whatever. But this KV100 is a fucking shit car. It was a shit car. If you had that one or 500 others, I was like, because a lot of the things were specific to, my main problem was the fact that it was at a price point that was trying to match the rivals, and it just didn't. And so and I even said in it, if it was 100,000 and cheaper, I would have said, okay, fine, I understand someone wanting to buy this, but for what it is, they need to do more work on it. And eventually, I think there was a bit of an admission where they were like, okay, yes, we know it's not our best product, but. And I was like, well, it might work in India, but it's not going to work here where you've got German rivals and Japanese rivals. It just won't.
No, well, you can't take a car that's trying to go up against an X1 or X3, and you're trying to hit the same price range or something than that, and they're just not there. You're not competing at all.
Yeah.
And
or like
and
a Polo. It's
but
just, you're never going to.
exactly, but also they brands like that need to understand that you open yourself up. If you're trying to compete with one of the big German brands, you open yourself up towards that the whole time.
Yeah.
You are more vulnerable at that point than what, because if BM makes a car, it's BM. All right, they'll fix it. The next one, something will be very much better. They overcompensate afterwards. But like you said, if you're a less known brand, you are gonna run into shit with that. Now, what have you got moving forward? I mean, besides for the videos and stuff, I mean, you say you've got a bunch of stuff going on. What have you got going on?
So at the moment, I'm doing a bunch of videos for Gumtree, which is because I realized during the pandemic that the second-hand market's going to boom compared to the new market. So I do a bunch of videos for them that are pretty much based on sort of previous generation models. And they've got a pre-owned award, so it works out quite well with all of those. And then currently I do like everything, I think. Like, I just speak to a friend now, and I was like, I just don't know whether I'm coming or going, what I'm doing. I'm collaborating with Audi, or I'm collaborating with this, and it's amazing, but you sort of spin a bit. But at the moment, myself and Terence, who I mentioned earlier, are launching a website together. So I'll keep my brand and do what I do, but together we're going to launch, it's called Cars Uncorked, and it's a website that is about cars, wine, and pretty much travel. And we do our podcast together at the moment. So we've kind of taken the podcast offline, and we've now produced videos with it, and then now we'll have a full-blown website that goes with it. So that's what we sort of throwing ourselves into at the moment, which is really hard, because like websites and like the tech stuff, you realize, I couldn't even get this working. It just give me cars, don't give me fucking technology. I hate it. But so thankfully he's in on this. So yeah, so we're busy working together to come up with a whole bunch of ideas, and also to create content, because that's what I do as well. I sort of consult and collaborate with companies and say, okay, what can we do to make your product stand out, sort of thing. And so we're going to do that with so go to manufacturers and say, like, instead of having the boring, no offense, but I do it as well, journal reviews, let's create something for you that speaks to a different audience, speaks to our audience and whoever, and reach different people instead of reaching the same people. So it's exciting. It's like one of those things. It's like, it's not there yet. We're still getting there. We launch on the 1st of November. So we're like, and then hopefully it goes off with an amazing bang.
It's going to go well. Way. It's going to go well. I know it's going to go well.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to that. I think that's going to be quite interesting. I like the different approach, because I'm a very big fan. I hate doing what other people do. That's why with TV shows and stuff, I watch. It was weird to me, like Top Gear comes out and every presenter wanted to be like Jeremy Clarkson. Every TV show wanted to be like Top Gear. Then Gas Monkey comes out, and everybody wants to be like Richard Rawlings, and everybody wants to have that same persona and all this type of stuff. My biggest thing is I can't stand myself on TV, on camera.
Me neither.
It's worst thing. I was actually the podcast I did that was out yesterday with Scott. We were joking last night. I said to him, listening to the podcast to me is way better than watching them on YouTube, because you watch them on YouTube and you're like, what the fuck am I doing with my hands? Why is my hands not sitting still? Why are you touching your face? What the fuck you want to touch your face for? When you listen to it, then you're concentrating more on what you're actually saying. And then you get critical because of how you're expressing your words, how your conversation comes through. Because keeping a flow going is always a big problem. And you would know. You get some guests who you can interview, who you can vibe with. And then you've got some guys where you physically want to reach through the screen and just strangle information out of them. Yeah. Yeah,
that's always a tricky one in interviews and stuff. It's I haven't done it in a while, but I used to do that a lot, where I had to interview people, and I had to I used to do a show called Tech Report, and it was my job as a presenter to make the person feel comfortable. And it was just, sometimes I would just get a one-word answer, and I'd like give them that, like, give me some more. Nothing. And it would fuck up the whole episode, because you were like, well, we can't really use that.
especially if you like, I'm throwing the big question down. You know,
Yeah.
this is it. This is it. Have you gone through the road? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Thank you for that informative conversation.
He said yes, everyone. No. But the funniest thing I found is that I mean I talk to a lot of Americans and that they're just brilliant at this. It's like they're made for TV and stuff. Maybe it's the accent and everything that comes with it. I think South Africans still need to warm up. I mean, you were saying like the podcasts and stuff. It's slowly but surely podcasts are now. I'm seeing like the reach and stuff is starting to grow. People are understanding the concept more than anything else. The US, it's enormous at the moment.
Yeah. I think that's the problem with it here is what happens is we see that and then we strive to be like you said just now, do your own thing. People strive to be like someone in America. So we always, as South Africa, is going to be like, stop trying to be that person. Stop trying to do this. Like, create your own thing. Don't mimic somebody else's. And I think we also, especially motoring journalists, all think they can do all of it. So you've got guys that, not in a nasty way, but have never had any experience with presenting a video, and you watch it and you're like dying of like uncomfortability because you know that they're hating it. Like they don't want to be in front of the camera, but they know that they need to start making videos and they know they need to start podcasting and having to reinvent themselves. And it's kudos to them for trying, but I think sometimes you need to almost put in a bit more work to then be able to do that. If you don't need experience or get kind of some teaching or something that someone can help you out. But it's like everyone's
personality. That's a big part that you find. If you're not a vibey type of out there type of person, if you're very introverted and stuff and you're trying to do video, that comes across. People don't understand it. That's in your nature. Look, you get guys who you meet and they're very like straightforward, and then when the camera comes up, all of a sudden this other persona jumps out. But you know, look, it's a different. But we also hitting what guys need to understand from a video perspective in a global market. So we're sitting in South Africa, we're competing against stuff from the US. Okay, so your accent and all these type of things play a very big role. So you get these guys that trying to throw as much slang into videos and stuff as humanly possible, which is great because some South Africans understand what they're saying. But the guys in the US and the European market, they have fucking no idea what the guy is saying. Yeah. They don't know what a line is or all this type of stuff. And you're trying to gauge guys a lot of times where you go, the guy's got potential on it, but you know he's throwing, I call it, too South African into the whole thing, you know.
Yeah. I guess it depends what they are trying to achieve, because so for me, because like I say, my main priority is to give advice and car buying advice. So my market has to remain South Africa. So I never try and compete with any of the global. I can't, to be honest. I don't think if I have to, I'll lose confidence and never be able to do it. But so what I do is just focus on a very South African audience and then hope to goodness that that's enough. And at the moment, thankfully, it is. And if something happened that I could go more global or something, amazing. But I think that's the problem is not knowing what your audience is or not knowing who you want your audience to be. And so if you get these South African guys doing that, they want to be global, then they have to change their way. But if they're only wanting to just sort of remain South African based to a South African audience, that's amazing. But they must know that that's what they're doing or who they're targeting.
No, that's true. That's very true. So, like I said, so you're busy with that. You've got your next video. So what can we expect? You were doing a video this morning. What did you drive?
I drove, good question. I drove Hyundai Venue Limited Edition, Honda HRV, and those are two for Gumtree. And then our Defender video just went up, which was really fun to do. That was so nice to have the new Defender. I was so thrilled to to do a video on that. And now I've got a Golf GTI TCR coming out. That should be in the next couple of weeks. Mercedes A35 MG, Mercedes, yeah, that's going to be a goodie too.
God, you
the
are
TCR
busy,
is
eh?
not going to be my favorite. Yeah, so I do a video every week and more actually, because sometimes I get a colleague's car and then I do his as well, so I can get like a whole bunch of videos done in one. I'm a forward planner. I find that I'm just always forward planning, so I'm always busy. So I don't know what I'm forward planning for. I'm basically just busy. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, look, it makes sense. I'm trying to do the same thing with podcasts. You're trying to build up. So if you've got a week of shooting, because at the moment, you otherwise people don't understand. If you run these things and you're trying to get videos out, if you are sick for a week, okay, then you got a problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
I'm just like, I can't be sick. I just do it with. I've looked back at videos of mine, and because I'm in a car of my own and I shoot them myself most of the time, I can be sick. Do you know what I mean? I'm not around other people, but you'll hear I'm like my whole voice has changed. I look like this, and then I'm like, why did you do it? You spares. And then I'm like, I realize because if the car goes back and I can't do it, so I just work while I'm sick.
So you've told us what was the worst car that you've driven. What was the best? Which was the one where you're like, oh God, I just don't want to give it back at all, ever?
So that's a question I think my whole career I've been asking. It's so flipping hard because it changes. Okay, it like changes every year, every model. But one that's like consistently a favorite of mine, and people are going to be like, whatever, so lame. But it's something like an Audi RS4 Avant is like a car that I would just live with every day and love. Because I'm practical at heart. I'm more like a practical pan than I am a petrol head. But because, an RS6, like I just love that it's quick and it's beautiful and it drives beautifully, but it's also practical. Like I love a supercar, I love a performance car, but shit, I'm so fucking bored after 2 days. Unless I could drive it on a track every day, I don't point to things. So yeah, I'm never good with and then also, again, like a Mazda CX-5. Would be so happy to have one of those.
So that brings us to the question: what do you actually drive? What is your everyday?
I don't own one.
You don't own one. You're one of the journalists that just lives from one press car to the next.
Yeah. Nice. The last car I owned was I'm still at Car Magazine. So it would have been sort of before I left, like a couple of years before I left, that I had a Polo, obviously. And I eventually sold it because it was sitting in the garage at Car Magazine's offices for months on end, and I was paying it off, and I had no money, again, journalist. So I got rid of it and so that was probably in 2010, maybe, so 10 years ago, and I haven't been without a car since, which I touch wood, okay, so I don't want to jinx it, but yeah, I've never been without a car since then, which is amazing. Also, a lot of petrol money saved,
Exactly. You're a very bubbly, positive type of person. Well, it's what I pick up. I mean, you're always smiling, and everything that you do, you know. What is your motto in life? What do you look behind, and where do you find the happiness? You're not one of those people that's all happy in the morning, are you? It's like, oh God, flying again.
So irritating. I really am, and I don't drink coffee, so I don't know how. But anyways, I think my motto, it's funny, someone asked me like a couple of years ago, and it's always been, be kind. And I think people who are kind generally are constantly considerate. And so you're considerate about the person that you're speaking to, or considerate about the person you're working with or chatting to, whatever. And if you sit there like sullen or bored or angry or irritable, it's not being considerate and it's not being kind, because I hate people feeling uncomfortable in my presence or feeling less than or more than even. So that's always my thing, is like, be kind. So even in what I do, it's just always a thing. Like I try and be kind to the manufacturer. I try to be kind to the, that my listeners and readers and everything. So there are often days when I want to like literally fucking jump through a screen and kill someone on YouTube. But I will just always be like, kill them with kindness and write something nice back to them and the trolls and whatever. But yeah, so it's probably just be kind. Sounds just lame when I said out loud.
Well, I think the video that all of us want to see, and I hope there must be like a line of bloopers of you angry in traffic, okay? Where
Oh,
you've got it on camera, hey? Where it's, and this is driving, just fucking get out the fucking road, you know?
the only time I'm not kind is with fucking road rage because I cannot handle. Do you know why? Because again, even as a driver, I try and be kind and considerate. And if everybody's considerate on the road, we have much better roads. Because it's these fucknuts who drive who don't give a shit about anybody else. And I'm like, you're so inconsiderate, and so I take it personally. I get my is constantly like, please stop shouting at people when you go past. Please stop pulling zaps and whatever. Someone's going to get out of a car and he's so worried for my safety. And I'll be like, I'll drive off and I'll lose them. But that's not going to happen when I get stuck in robots. Which happened the other day where I was like, fuck it. I went mental and then came up to the robot like this. And my husband was like, oh my gosh, now what if it's like 3 guys in the car, they're going to come out? And I was like, let them, fucking calm. And then he's like, no, calm down.
Oh, that is so funny. Okay, that's the video we want to see, okay?
Yeah.
Like 3 hours of fucking road rage completely.
Oh, I've definitely got it. That's for sure.
Oh, that would be brilliant. But listen, I don't want to do the normal from a woman's perspective and get in this industry because I mean this is a very male dominated.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I get irritated. I mean, I work with Claire Vale and everybody from a racing perspective, and I kind of I believe everything should be completely equal. There shouldn't just be a women's thing because it should be with everything else. Does that make more sense?
Oh yeah.
Like when the magazine and stuff came out, I understood the concept behind it, but I'm like, but this should be for everybody at any rate. You know, car magazine should be multi-sex more than anything. I've tried it even with my magazine. I mean, we used to do pin-ups, which we stopped. We didn't try. No, God, I got what made me stop pin-ups in the magazine. I know this is a completely different aspect of women, professional women type.
Yeah.
I hope no one takes offense to anything I say. So I used to do pin-ups in the magazine, and I had a dad phone me the one day, and very upset because his son took one of my magazines to school. And there was a pin-up model in the back, so the teacher took the magazine away. Okay, because of the pin-up. And and I'm like, I'm so sorry. The guy's like, yeah, you owe me another magazine, okay? So because he was.
Shit, I thought you were gonna say a dad phoned you and it was his daughter that was the pin-up model. I was like, okay, like that's gonna be a problem.
No. Luckily, I haven't had any of those. And so the guy phoned me after that. And we just started taking the pin-ups because I think I just started also growing up a little bit more. And let me rephrase. I've got 3 daughters, 4 if including my stepdaughter. So you start re-looking at everything, going, okay, well this is just not cool anymore. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, so coming back to from the women's perspective in the market, do you see that that's changing? Do you see that women are going further, are reaching more into it, or is it still complete penis face between everything?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny, like there are more women, thankfully, but ever so slowly coming into the other side of the motoring industry, so like engineering and sort of into the business side of it, which is fantastic, and I'm so glad about that. There's still very few motoring journalists that are female, which is such a shame because it's an amazing industry. But I get it. Like, one, you have to have a fucking thick skin. You have to come in knowing that you're going to have a lot of arguments and maybe have people who dislike you or don't respect you and all that kind of shit and whatever. So I think it's often that's quite a deterrent because it is so hard to be in this industry and be taken seriously as a woman. There are many people who watch my videos and are like, just like, get the fuck out of it. What are you doing? You're ridiculous. You don't know enough. And God forbid I make a fucking mistake.
Really? Do you actually get morons like that?
Oh yeah, sheesh. Like
What?
they can be so horrific. And like I say, if I make a mistake, it's unforgivable. But Car Magazine can make a mistake, or any of the guys that I know can make a mistake, and it's like, oh yeah, but they're very busy. They've got a lot of cars. It's totally understandable. I've made the mistake or whatever. But a woman in this industry mustn't make any mistakes, and I make them all the time. Fuck, I
Yeah.
drive a car. I think I'm driving something else on.
Yeah.
And that's genuinely because I have different cars all the time. But then I'll be like, yes, like what am I talking about? Or I say the wrong kilowatts. Then they're all the bloody mulling with me, and I'm like, well, okay. But it is starting to change. There's more it's becoming more accepting of women in the industry. I just hope that we find young girls and particularly young black women coming into this industry, because I think we need such a transformation in this country with regards to everything, but
I
certainly
agree.
with motoring. There's just so many sort of old white men in it, and even young white men. They just, you just want a bit more. I just want to see more women, more black people, more all kinds of people is actually what I want to see
Yeah.
in this industry. So yeah, from a woman's perspective, it is obviously trickier, but it is slowly getting better. I think. I hope.
It's just look. It's like I'm dyslexic. Okay, I'm like seriously fucking dyslexic. And I own a magazine, which I write. And I read something the other day. Like when you post something on Facebook and you make a spelling mistake, the person that goes out of everything, it's a positive message or whatever you're putting out, and they go show that you've got a spelling mistake. It's a inferiority complex more than anything else from their side. That all to me, just anyone that spell or goes out to after your spelling, after you're trying to make a point or something like that, it's just being fucking petty more than anything else.
I know.
Because,
I am 100% one of those people.
are you?
Only if I don't agree.
Oh God.
It's normally never if I agree with the opinion. Then I'm like, don't worry, I understand.
I don't know. That's
I don't
agree, and you misspelled that wrong, by the way. You know.
Yeah, I had a guy. Okay, this must be just everybody on YouTube, like saying like, "You're a fucking hoe, you're a bitch," like this whole big thing, but all with your. So I just wrote back, "You are, not your." That was my response.
That's different. That's different. Okay.
Like, why didn't you maybe make a point? Like, and in a forceful, like when you whatever, then make sure you fucking spell properly. Otherwise, it loses. It falls flat.
Exactly.
You know.
No, that makes 100% sense. But the fact that you in day and age you still look, that's just basic trolling more than anything else.
100%. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
That is some small penis guy basically watching you going, God, I would love to do what she does for a living, and thinks that the only reason that you'll be able to do it is because you've got a vagina. You know?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
No, there's no space in the world for people like that. It's one of those guys where they say just rip the warning labels off of it and survives at the end of the day, you know.
Yeah. Exactly.
Exactly. So yeah, listen, I need to get going because I've got another 2 of these still to do today. But it's been awesome talking to you.
You too, thank you for having me on here. I do enjoy a podcast vibe. It's always quite fun. And also I saw you on with Scotty, who happens to be a friend of mine. So I was quite glad to see him on it. Yeah. That's so cool.
He's actually such a cool guy. I'm trying to get more. I actually want to get. I need to get your friend from Car on this thing as well at some point. I'm trying to like spread everything. So it's not just about the hot rod industry and all this type of stuff. It's about all cars.
Well, I'll give you Terrence's details. It would certainly be amazing, and he's really funny and super knowledgeable. So he'll be very interesting on here. So I'll give you his details.
So he's gonna make me look bad. So we'll run the quiz. What did the Ford Cortina come out with? Was it what color was the knobs? We'll see what we can. But listen, it was great having you on the show. Actually, I really enjoyed talking to you. We should do it again. And all the best with this new venture. Okay, really.
Thank you. Hopefully, next time we chat, it'll all be out there and successful.
Yeah, all the best. We'll support you as much as we can. So everyone, I'll send after this. You're gonna send me all the links so we can put it out there as well. And then, yeah, get going on that stream on that road rage video. It's gonna be a hit. I swear it will be the best. I would.
Good idea.
I'll send wine to your house. You will launch it. Okay, we will all drink wine together. Okay, and laugh at it. So, all right, listen, you have a great one. It was awesome
Thank
talking to
you.
you.
Too.
All
All
right.
right.
Bye.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.